Greetings, everyone. This is Rabbi Charlie, and I am here to share with you the exciting adventures of, hold on, wait for it, how to lead an awesome Seder for younger children and for playful adults. We've got a great session prepped for you ready today, and hopefully you'll be able to learn a lot in just a little bit of time. The first big thing when it comes to focusing on younger children is we have to lose the assumptions. We have a lot of assumptions about what a Seder is and what a Seder is supposed to be. Many people have memories of suffering through these long Seders where the children have nothing to do. And I want us to avoid that completely. We can have a fun, family-friendly Passover Seder that brings a sense of meaning and purpose into our lives and into the lives of our children. But first, it helps to lose the assumptions. First of all, a table is only needed for the meal. I want to repeat that. A table is only needed for the meal. There's no need to try to have a 3-year-old sit at the table while we tell the story for an hour or so, or more or less, while the child is just waiting and has wonderful things like silverware to play with and throw on the floor. That goes for 5-year-olds, that goes for 7-year-olds, that goes for 9-year-olds as well. The idea of a Passover Seder, most of it is telling a story. There are certain pieces where we might want to go to the table or have available to us, like a glass of wine or juice, or something like dipping parsley in salt water. But you can have a station. We're supposed to relax on Passover. You can sit on the floor. You can sit on cushions. You can sit on the couch as you go through and you tell the Passover story. And to be honest, a table isn't even needed for the meal. It is possible to have a leaving Egypt picnic. You can just lay out, you can pack up all the food and you can go all the way into the living room, or you can take the journey through the Red Sea and on into your upstairs area if you have one. The idea of sitting at the table the whole time is not needed, is not helpful, especially not for young children. You can go back to the meal, go back to the table for the meal. Don't get me wrong about that. You don't have to do the picnic. I'm just saying it's an option, possibility. Number 2 is remember that the Haggadah is a guide. The Haggadah is not law. It's not set in stone. I mean, technically, it is Jewish law, and there is a sense of halakha. And some people do, with good reason, insist on doing the entirety of the Haggadah in Hebrew. That's the way that they did it as a child. That's the way that sense of tradition is for them. And that's something that I appreciate. However, when it comes to working with young children, even Rabbi Akiva knew that we had to keep them engaged, and we had to keep them, had to figure out how to make them a part of the experience. If we understand that the Haggadah is a guide, then there's lots of Haggadot, there's lots of options. And let's look at that as a whole menu of options, as opposed to this is the way it has to be. These are the words that we have to say at this point in time. Using the Haggadah as a guide will free you. It is okay to nosh. This is really, really important. One of, again, those favorite memories of Passover Seder is when are we going to be done? When can we finally eat? Well, here's the thing. The Passover Seder was modeled after a Roman-style banquet. And at a banquet, why do we dip twice, right? That's one of the 4 questions. Well, the second time we're dipping with the maror and the horseradish and the charoset, that is right before the actual meal. And that's really great because then the meal is coming, but there's a whole bunch of storytelling and a whole bunch of activities that we can do before that. So right at the very, very beginning, there's this idea of a hand washing and dipping the karpas, dipping often parsley into salt water. That is the hors d'oeuvre portion of the meal. So if you happen to have maybe cut vegetables or cut fruits or something to nosh on, given your family's dietary needs, this is okay. And so right at the beginning, you can nosh and give the kids and the adults something to nosh on so that you can actually focus in on the important part, which is the Seder itself. It's the storytelling, it's the question asking. And most importantly, this is kind of the rule of thumb for anything with young children or adults that have a hard time sitting still. Have a plan and be willing to change the plan. It will help you, it will help them, it will make everything easier for everyone. So number one, when it comes to doing a Seder for young children, let's lose some of the assumptions. Number two, remember the why. You can do so much, but the goal is not to make you or your kids miserable. That is such an important piece to this puzzle. If we remember the why, if we remember the goals, if we remember what Seder is all about, then it will help the entire process for you and your children. The goals of a Seder. What are some of the goals? Tradition, right? Carrying on tradition, passing on tradition to our kids. We want that tradition to be something that they look back fondly at. We want that tradition to be something that they can bring into their lives, that they can see the meaning of it for their age and their station in life. One of the goals of Seder is to spend time together with the family. This year we might have to do it virtually, but that idea of family time is really important. Quality family time that everybody can actually enjoy to the best of our ability. Granted, there's lots of things that might torpedo family time, temper tantrums and other such things. To the best of our ability, if we can create a plan that understands the members of our family and that really embraces them, then the opportunity for quality family time at Seder is greatly enhanced. Education, the idea of asking questions. The idea of the 4 questions weren't really 4 questions that the kids were supposed to ask. And back in the Mishnah, over 1800 years ago, the original Passover Seder was about asking questions, but it was for the kids to ask questions. And if they didn't, then the leader of the Passover Seder would say, have you noticed this night isn't like every other night? What do you see that's different? You know, on all other nights, we're eating lots of different kinds of foods. Why are we only eating matzah, or lots of different kinds of breads? So why are we only eating matzah? That idea of helping the kids to understand, helping our children, and helping ourselves as well. Why do we do this? To leave room for questions is a really, really important part of this process. Another goal is to make lasting memories. Again, it goes back to that idea of tradition, but that idea of making memories together as a family. That's the goal of a Seder. That's what this is all about. And that's what we want to make sure that we bring to this party. Because it should be a party. It's a celebration. We're celebrating our freedom and making memories, positive memories that we're going to look back fondly on. This is very much a part of the why. And there's so much more. This just takes a moment of thinking about what works for you, what works for your family. Have a conversation with spouses and other family members and friends, some of the other adults. What are you hoping for? What are you looking for at this Passover Seder? And you know something? Your kids probably have opinions as well. Now, maybe not the 2 or 3-year-olds. You can certainly ask a 6-year-old what their goal at Seder is, or a 9-year-old what their goal at Seder is. Bring them into this process. It's an important thing. We're going to come back to that idea. So let me provide some extra tools for your Passover Seder toolbox. So first of all, play and have fun. Be willing to do this. This is an important part of the process. I'm going to give you a couple of examples of how you can do this a little bit later on, but just one brief example. So at the beginning of the Passover Seder, you have this thing called orchatz, which is where you wash your hands, but there is no blessing. So if you don't have any blessing, in my family, and we've done this for years, and it's only gotten a little bit more aggressive, I'd say, as our children have worked their way into the preteen and teenage years, which is wash your hands, but no blessing, no towels. And you have to find someone to be your towel. Or you could, sprinkle the water on other people, that kind of stuff. Again, for some reason, kids really like that. And they like to have permission that they can do that to their parents and their friends. And so make sure it doesn't get too rough, but it can be a lot of fun. Age-appropriate readings. I'll give an example a little bit later on of Uncle Eli's 4 questions. It's a really, really creative rendition. It's very findable online, and it includes rhymes with bup, eggs, and other such things. Age-appropriate readings, Haggadah.com, which I'll share with you a little bit later on, has a number of different age-appropriate readings. Let's make sure that there's a sense of that our Passover Seder can be understandable and that it's accessible, right? The whole goal is to tell our story. We don't want to tell our story in a way that nobody can understand. And so there's a number of great Haggadot that's out there as well nowadays that help you do this. There's everything from a really cool graphic novel Haggadah to PJ Library has a version. Kveller has a really accessible one as well. There's a lot of great Haggadot out there that are age appropriate, or at least more accommodating to younger kids. And again, Haggadot.com has great examples, great possibilities for you there. Songs. Bringing in songs to a Passover Seder. These could be parodies that you can find online. Songs like Pharaoh, Pharaoh, oh baby, let my people go, right? And they're cheesy and they're fun. Well, I find them to be really fun. Definitely cheesy. And there's videos of songs, the Maccabeats 613. I'll show a couple of those to you. There's so much stuff that's out there. It's bringing in songs, not just Dayeinu. Dayeinu is great, right? It's really fun, but there's a lot more that's out there that can help you tell the story, that can help get the kids more engaged. So I've always enjoyed some good songs. Nowadays, video, especially when we're looking at our virtual Seder, we really want to bring in a sense of video. The opportunity to share a cartoon version of part of the story or some segment of, I'll show you a couple of examples of what this can look like that help to provide a little bit of explanation and a little bit of fun and a little bit of engagement for our kids. This is something that we can also share with one another when we've got family that are on the other side of a computer screen instead of right there in front of us. It makes it a little bit easier as well. When it's a family-oriented, when everybody can actually be together, having videos play after the kids have eaten is also a really nice opportunity as well. So videos can be used in lots of different ways. All right, this is one of my favorites. Stuffed animals, Legos, blankets, cushions, right? What are you going to create the parting of the Red Sea out of, right? You can absolutely have two parents, right, that are lifting a sheet, right? A sheet that kind of represents the waves, and you bring it down so that way everybody can walk across it. And then if one of the older kids is the Pharaoh, then they get wrapped up in the blanket. That kind of a thing is really, really great. Legos. We were slaves in Egypt. We had to build these cities. So put a taskmaster over your young child who has to build buildings out of Legos. It will be pure torture for them. They'll really appreciate the meaning of slavery. Okay, maybe not. Maybe it will be fun. It's a great thing to be able to do. Use Legos or other toys that your kids really, really love to play with. Maybe it's Lincoln Logs. Maybe it's Tinker Toys. Maybe it's something that's more 21st century. They all work, they're all fun, and that's something to consider. Stuffed animals. To grab a stuffed animal, and even if it's your own voice, because you don't like making silly voices, and you're Pharaoh and somebody else is Moses, and to act it out a little bit with stuffed animals, it's so much fun. Your kids are going to love you for it. It's awesome. And do that for as long as until it's not cool anymore. You'd be surprised though, because sometimes even the 12 and 13 and 14-year-olds may be willing to break out an old stuffed animal just for this purpose. And they certainly might do it for their younger siblings. Maybe. No guarantees there. Finger puppets are great. You've got finger puppets with the plagues. You've got finger puppets in lots of different ways. There's for question finger puppets. There's for children finger puppets. There's 10 plague finger puppets. There's a lot of ways that you can use finger puppets. Ooh, science. Use science. It's really, really cool. So if you take a big bowl of water and you just sprinkle pepper over the top of it, and then you part the sea, just put a little drop of oil, just a little touch of oil on your finger, and then you part the sea, and the oil makes the pepper move away because it's on the water, and it's really, really cool. And it's a great visual. Kids love it. It's a great thing to gather everybody around. And then of course the kids can take a little dab of oil if you're careful, right? And kind of put their hands in the pepper and just go across the surface of it. That's a really, really cool opportunity. You can have a break a matzah competition. Really, really cool little trick here is it's really, really hard to break matzah exactly in half. And so during the Afikoman piece, you can give everybody a chance to try. Well, try to break this matzah, see how hard it is. Then for your actual Afikoman, if you very carefully take a little, it could be anything from a very, 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 very clean paintbrush to even just your fingertip with a little bit of water, and just put water across the center of the matzah. Just take the matzah right in the center and put a little bit of water. If you can, do it on each side. Do it on each side. And then when you break the matzah, where it was touching the water, where the water was touching it, will break. Science, right? It's a small little thing, but after trying to break the matzah in half, it's really, really impressive and really, really cool for the kids to see, oh, this is actually possible. So you get a much more even break most of the time. Feel free to try that out first, but it usually works well. And get the kids involved. So a lot of people would do Seders where everybody comes over and this family is doing this part and this family is doing this part, or you go around and you're used to the idea of everybody taking part. Well, in advance, the idea of saying to your children, if you've got a 7-year-old, right, let's work together, and we're going to do the Afikoman together, or we are going to tell this part of the story together. How do you want to do that? If you have a 9-year-old, again, this is more, so yes, the 4 questions, those are obvious, and those are great ways to get the kids involved. In terms of finding a video that they really, really like, finding a song that helps to tell this part of the story, giving them a little bit of authority, giving them a little bit of an opportunity to be a part of the process will make it much more fun, and they'll be engaged. And then they get to be the ones to share. They get to be the ones to teach their family about how to do this part. It's a really, really great opportunity. It takes a little bit of forethought. Give them, but they don't need too long, right? Just a couple of days, just to give them a little bit of advance notice and come up with a plan. It doesn't have to be the most amazing thing ever. This is just about getting them involved and helping them to celebrate. So a few sample videos. So in the PowerPoint presentation, which I will upload to the YouTube page, these should all, or hopefully will be live links. And I have to see if I can upload that, actually. I'll try to figure it out. I'll try to include these links, though, regardless. I just want to give you a little sample of what this looks like. And so, greetings to the leads. So I'm recording this, and we're going to upload this to YouTube, just so you're aware. But right now, I'm just going to share a different page because I want you to be able to see some of these great videos that are out there. Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen once again with sound and video. Okay, let's give this a try. All right, so this is 613, who is pretty awesome, and this is their Lion King Passover. Bring that volume up. Stop that share for a moment and let me just try once again, because this has worked for me in the past.
Never be cleaned. Grab a candle and search for the crumbs. When the Seder table is ready,
you can see that they're having a lot of fun.
all the Maccabeats has been found. Our family arrives and the sun leaves the sky. At the table we'll gather around.
Try to pause this. Let me try one more. This is the Maccabeats Dayeinu.
Dayeinu mi Mitzrayim, Hotzianu mi Mitzrayim, Dayeinu, 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 Dayeinu.
traditional
Dayeinu, 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 Dayeinu,
they've got the they do barbershop. I mean, they really have a good time with this.
Aviva, it's time to open the door for Eliyahu.
Let me try to stop that sharing. I do want to show you, though, that it's not just about the opportunity. Oh, wait, pardon me one moment. There we go. In addition to the idea of some of the musicians that are out there. By the way, I did put a link for my favorite version of a Passover parody to Let It Go from Frozen. Frozen obviously is kind of a big thing right now. But I also want to share with you that there are other opportunities as well that are also pretty awesome and pretty helpful. Which is, you've got these great, for questions, Manishtana. This one is put together by Shalom. And it's basically going through the Manishtana, but you've got something to look at, and the kids might find it a little bit more interesting. You have that's the Let It Go parody, which is awesome. Hold on, I want to try to get you one more, if I can. You even got like people like Jake Gyllenhaal through Shalom Sesame talking about
I hate the Afikoman.
Matzah, the Afikoman.
The Afikoman is a piece of matzah you eat for dessert at the Passover Seder. Before you can finish the Seder, you have to find it. And I hid it. I hid it in such a great hiding spot. I'm super at hiding things.
So I'm sorry.
It'll be so hard to find.
But just so you can see that there are so many different versions of what a Passover videos and Passover Seder can be. Hold on, it looks like I've got to stop Jake there. Okay. And so in addition to great videos, there is also the opportunity to share, I gotta come back here one more time, to share some of the really incredible Passover resources that are out there, like Haggadah.com. So Haggadah.com is a website where you can, so they've got these things called clips, and they've got collections of clips, and clips is any addition to a Passover Seder. And so you can go to their Haggadah library, and they have a variety of different things that you can see, and they happen to have a Seder for young children. And so now this is just kind of one Haggadah, one basic Haggadah, but this Haggadah is filled with things like videos. It's got coloring pages. It has the search for chametz, how to do it with your family, right? And so all of these different kinds of things have some way of bringing forth the Passover Seder, right? And again, this is very coloring page oriented as you're looking at this, but you also have like a 10-minute script, right? So this is, turns out Rabbi Daniel Brenner had created this. And so there's a short play. You've got a cast, you've got Hebrew 1, 2, 3, Abbas, Bat Paro, Moses, God, and Aaron. So you've got 13 parts. One with the narrator, Joseph, Benjamin, Pharaoh, etc. 13 parts. By the way, you can certainly shrink that as well. And if your kids are old enough to read, this could be awesome. Again, I'm a big fan of using things like, what's it called? Like stuffed animals to help you figure that out. And so, and if you wanted to not just go with kind of what they had put together, you can filter your search by things like, okay, so what do I want to do? What part of the story? And then what category do I want? And so if I've got family and education, well, if my goal is children, so let's see, I can search for things that are specifically children oriented. And then I can also take a look at the media. Do I want an image? Do I want a text? Do I want audio or video? So let's say I want a text. And we're going to apply that. And let's see what comes up. So this is a for children version, for children, 5 rabbis version, with the opportunity to, you know, have a for children that's a little bit more accessible maybe. And again, you have to kind of search through and see what you're looking for. There's the middle matzah Horcrux. That's probably Harry Potter related, most likely. I know what gave it away. And so you have people that have put together all different kinds of things. So here's like the Dr. Seuss 4 questions. This is by Guy Mann. So this might not be Uncle Eli's 4 questions, but you have a version of it. Oh wait, no, this looks like Uncle Eli's. So here you go, you can find it right here. Why is it only on Passover night? We never know how to do anything right. We don't eat our meals in the regular ways, the ways that we do on all other days, right? It does, by the way, just so you're warned, this does get a little bit long, as you can see. Yes, it goes on for a while. This was Uncle Eli's Haggadah. And here's the source for the material right here. And I'm not a huge fan of the rest of Uncle Eli's Haggadah, although I enjoy the 4 questions. It's a lot of fun to take turns trying to read it and to read it smoothly in a good Dr. Seuss kind of a way. And so I just realized that the reason why the music was probably working for you and not for me was because I had my earplugs in. And so my apologies. I hope that you got a chance to hear that when I turned up the volume. I hope that I didn't blast your ears too loud. So my apologies for that. The wonders of working with modern technology. So what you can do, and the easiest thing to do is just click in to log in, and you can create your own, or you can kind of search through. But if you are actually linked in, so if you register with Facebook, and you can do that really easily, then you can save all the things and you can go back to the things that you're thinking about. It's really, really amazing. Like there's something like 60,000 different clips, right? Like it's a lot, right? And what's cool is that you can download it as a PDF, right? You can do it in different ways. So there's lots of really great ways that Haggadot.com can be an excellent, excellent resource for you. So back to our PowerPoint presentation in just a moment. Here we are. Okay, so let me jump down here. That was Haggadot.com. Okay, so that is an incredible virtual resource. And now don't forget, there's just a few quick reminders of things that I feel are really, really important opportunities when it comes to what you can do at your Passover Seder. Number 1, blessing the children. Don't forget this part. Don't skip over this part. There's nothing that is more sacred to me than that opportunity to offer blessing for compassion, for safety, for peace to my children. That is a wonderful thing. Offer that to friends, offer that to family. Don't skip over the blessing for one another. Very, very important. Number 2, or chats, washing hands. So again, this was the washing hands with no towels. That's a great opportunity. And if that's not your thing, that's fine. But it's an option. It's a way to be playful. It's a way to have fun, to break us out of the sit around the table kind of a mold. The karpas. All right, so you can dip parsley in salt water, but your kids might want to act it out, right? Like this is just another way to kind of play. This is what opportunities can look like, right? So everybody, let's start as a seed, and they can get down on the ground and be a little seed, and then they're going to start to grow, and then they're going to start to break out and feel, right? And really feel that sense of like being that parsley and being that growth of hope and renewal. And so that way when you dip the parsley in the salt water, right, when we remember, we take to heart that there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of difficulty, there's a lot of tears in this world, right? It's kind of an adult kind of a thing, but our kids can understand this. They know what it means to be sad. And that we take that sadness and we dip a little bit of hope in. And when we eat it, it's, you know, it's not so bad, right? That idea that we always have to have that sense of hope. Very, very important. And that's something that our kids can grasp. So it's a matter of helping them feel that sense of hope, and then by acting it out, and then to go ahead and actually do the eating and the dipping. There's lots of ways to do this. That's just one idea. Very important, ask questions, right? So just a couple of sample questions for you. Number 1, if we were slaves, what would be the worst part? Right, that's one you could ask children individually. You could go around the table and ask. Another great one, you know, if you could only bring 3 things, we have to leave right away. You can only bring 3 things. What are you going to bring? Let's try. We're supposed to see ourselves if we ourselves have come forth from Egypt, right? So these kinds of things can help our children. Asking these kinds of questions can help them really feel that reality. So there's a lot of different pieces that go into this. Asking questions is a really, really important one. It's just really great engagement. It really helps to personalize it. It really helps them think about what we're doing and not just going around the circle with our kids not taking in any of the content, any of what it's supposed to be about. That's not the goal. That's not what this is supposed to be. Oh, and then another opportunity, we're supposed to eat the matzah quickly, right? So, you know, contest, right? Like when it comes time to actually eating the matzah, make sure everybody has like a decent sized piece, like maybe half a matzah or a third of a matzah or something along those lines, and eat the matzah quickly, maybe so you can whistle afterwards first. We're supposed to eat the matzah hurriedly. Right, that's what it says in the Haggadah, right? So we can take what it says, we can actually act that out, and we can make it a little bit more fun. It doesn't have to be a contest. If you have kids who are really super competitive, don't make it a contest. Just say we're all going to do this quickly, and eating matzah quickly is something that will, again, it's potential. It's a good possibility. And there's always more to do, right? And that's a part of the plan. That's where the plan comes in, right? Hopefully what I've given you is a few different ideas, a few different possibilities. And when it comes to having possibilities, that's really, really important. You want to try to make some decisions about what you're going to do. You cannot, there's so many great video clips. There's so many great songs. Pick 1 or 2 or 3, right? You can act out the story, but then you maybe, if you're going to act it out yourself, then maybe you wouldn't do other things like the stuffed animals or other such things. Figure out what's right for you. Figure out what will work best for your family, and make a plan. Just put together a little bit of an outline, and that would be a positive. That would be a positive. So the goal was to have questions at this point in time. It looks like I've got Ed and Rachel Leeds on. And so if y'all have any questions, hit me with them. And if not, and again, just come on and ask any questions that you might have. And if not, I will have this posted, and feel free to email me or give me a call. I want to make sure that this is as positive of an experience for you as possible, since it's going to be a lot smaller this year. If there's just 2 of you or 3 of you or 4 of you or 5 of you, depending on how many young kids you have, right? These are ways, or more, right? These are ways to really make the experience something that is fun and enjoyable. A lot of these activities can be shared online with family and with friends. And so it's something to look at, to consider, and most importantly is really to make it your own. That's really helpful for everybody on so many different levels. So everybody, Chag Sameach, happy early Passover. And I hope it's just an amazing experience for you. And I hope some of this helps. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.